Alrighty, time for another project. I know I use that word to start all my tapes, but well, all my videos, but well, that's just how I am. This is an RS2 Proto 1000 model. I've had this sitting around for a bit, and it's alright. It's about time I get this thing going. I just can't stand looking at it anymore. I want to mess with it. This is the newer version by Walthers, as you can see on the bottom. This is Proto 1000 by Walthers. It's an older variation of it. They're now under what they call the mainline edition locomotives. Turn the light, get you a little bit more light there. These are now marketed as mainline locomotives, but this is still the newer drivetrain that's in those engines. This is a Santa Fe. The RS2 wasn't a very common engine. Well, not many survived mainly because Alco came out with this, and then when the horsepower from the competition was amped up, Alco came out with the RS3 and basically offered a lot of its customers the chance to upgrade for almost nothing. Well, not quite nothing, but not for very much. Anyway, that's why not many of those true RS2s exist anymore. There are one or two operating. I think there's a railroad out in the West that has a Southern Pacific paint scheme on. I keep forgetting what the name of it is. They had a Texas something or other. That's the Texas State Railroad, I think it is, actually operates an RS2, which has a Caterpillar locomotive motor in there. Unusual modification, but nice to see it in service. Anyway, this one here, to start with, I'm going to need to make some room. Haven't decided exactly what speaker I'm going to use to make this thing fit yet, but I know one thing is for sure, and that is I'm going to need to get this dummy plug out, because this dummy plug basically will not allow the engine to run in DCC mode, I should say, unless it's removed. To do so, I'm going to undo the screws. You can see how organized this is. Very nicely done. Now I'm just going to pull this out. Not too concerned about breaking this harness because I'm not going to use one of these types of pins. Though I probably should be careful with it because it means more work for me if I can't, but I'm not going to freak out if it doesn't work perfectly. Okay, let's pop this thing out. Need to get in there with my little screwdriver here and pop it out. Come on. Oh, boy. I can see I'm going to be making some editing points here. And now I remember why these things aren't. And now if one is wondering exactly why these 9 pins aren't very popular, these types of decoders anymore, well, here's the reason why. They're almost impossible to get off without breaking. Again, I have to remove this not only because I need the space, but because if the dummy plug is detected by this board, it will not allow an 8-pin DCC socket in place to actually work. Go, I'm getting it now. Oh, I hate working on these things. These 8-pin decoders, I should say. I really hate them. Oh, boy. Stuck in here real good. Admittedly, this sat in the box, there we go, for a long time, so that probably has something to do with it. So there we go. Dummy board's gone. Okay, so we've got our dummy board out. Here's my headlight, which is still connected. I'm going to unthread this. It's been twisted inside. This apparently is factory where they put this board inside of here. I might actually remove this factory board from this thing, I'm thinking, just because it's going to take so much space up to keep, but nah, I got to think about that. So anyway, now I have to call up some kind of speaker setup. I have this one here from TCS, which came from one of the kits I bought. I sometimes buy a kit because I find it's cheaper than actually buying the parts separately if I find I need certain parts. I won't use them for the same build, but I'll know coming down the line I might have or in this case of this one I had 2 projects I wanted to get done, and buying the kit and splitting the parts up made more sense. Now, of course, it might affect your warranty, but if you're willing to take a chance, you can get a real deal out of it. And anyway, so I have this speaker here from that kit, and I'm not sure if that would fit or not. What I usually would use is one of those Railmaster speakers, and somehow I don't think it's going to clear this tight distance in here. I've got a couple other speakers I'm going to try out now. I know I have a Soundtrax up here someplace that I bought for a Soundtrax locomotive that I never used. Let's see what we got. There we are. Here's one. It's in the wrong box, but this is one. This is a soundtrack speaker. Right here. It's their own branded speaker. I was told good things about this, and I never really heard any. I never really had any of the same results, despite all the bragging I heard of how wonderful these things are. This might fit. The question is it going to be loud enough? Because I really have never been very satisfied with these. And actually, I think that's going to... Nah. Yeah, see, the problem is the screw holes are just not quite lined correctly. It does go right over here, which is interesting. So you know what? I just thought of something. Maybe I can screw this down into place with one of the stock screws here and test this and see if I can get the frame on top. Again, bear with me. I'm learning how to do this because I've never done one on this modern one. What I would have done with the previous predecessor of this engine, and I think I've released the film on it, is to take the whole board out. The original Proto 1000 Walthers, the lifelike run of these, was to take the whole board out and replace it with an MRC decoder. Of course, the MRC decoders aren't the highest quality things in the world. They're actually, for the price, they're great, but they're not the top quality machine one would hope they would be. And really, to be honest, at that price point, you can't criticize them too much because they're designed for value, and you can't have basically the Volkswagen for the BMW or Maybach or whatever price, or vice versa, I should say. You can't get the BMW for the price of the Volkswagen. Oh, nope, that's not good. No. Okay, I'll try threading it through. Again, this is not designed to go in there, although I'm going to see if this will fit together. If it does, great. If it doesn't, no problem. No biggie, I'll just find something else. So again, I'm going to put one of the stock screws I had here from just taking this off before. That actually goes in nice. Now, the question is, drum roll please, will this go on top? Well, let's see. And actually now I'm definitely going to have to reroute this wire through here because it's too high up now. Bear with me again, folks. So this bulb will get crushed if I don't run it through here. There we go. Gonna have to figure out what to do with this harness if that's going to be the thing. I don't think it's going to clear because this harness is too high up. If this is too high, then I'm going to have to consider pulling this out. Okay, so now I'm going to attach this back into place like here. No, that's not going to work. I kind of figured as much. I'd be too lucky. It's just not getting down there. As you see, there's a huge gap on the frame. So that ain't going to work. 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 No way. Wait a minute, unless I bend this down like this and try it again. Again, the trick with this is to not give up, not be discouraged. Just keep trying different things. You never know what's going to work in the end. That ain't going to work. But that ain't going to work. Nah. Okay. Pull this stupid electrical tape off since I don't have the decoder thing anymore. Maybe that's slowing it up. Okay, the front is down, but again here, it just isn't quite sealing. What I have to do now is figure out what's stopping this from going down. And I'm thinking it is this wire here. I'm hoping it is, because if it is this wire, I can possibly get rid of this and make it sit correctly. Let's try it now if I bend it backward and put it through like that. Yeah, that plug seems to be the issue here, because now the front goes down much better. There's no gap on the front of it, but now the rear has got the gap. So I think the only way to make this thing fit is going to be to take that harness out. So let me try pulling this thing off. Oh boy, what a soldering mess this is. It's going to be a lot of desoldering to do, and I really don't want to tear this thing apart. But I don't think there's any other way I'm going to get this thing down. So I shall employ Mr. Wire Clippers. Find where the hell I put Mr. Wire Clippers. things, or I'll just take my other one out. Now, there we go. Grab these, and I'm just gonna cut them all out. Snippity snip, snippity snip, snippity snip, like a certain barber on television used to say. Nice loud clip when that came out. Now again, I'm gonna obviously have to clean this up if it does work, but I just wanted to see, as you see, I've cut that harness off. I just wanted to see if this will actually fit. And again, if it does work, I'll just clean it up a little bit better. And I think that, nope, that didn't work. All right, better to have tried than have failed and not tried. At least that's what someone told me at one point. So I'm going to have to come up with something else to make this work. What I think I'm going to have to wind up having to do now is cut these all off completely now that I've trimmed those down. But to be honest, they were just going to get in my way. But the problem is very clearly this speaker is not going to fit like that. So let's try, at least now I've eliminated one problem. Let's try turning this around, because now you see the front is down. This is still just missing it. It's really irritating. It's just missing it. But I'm almost tempted to see if there's something kind of plastic I can break on the shell here and just get myself, yeah, this is where it's running into. If you look inside the window, it's kind of hard to tell. I'll go as close as I can, but the speaker is making contact with the top of the roof, so it just doesn't have quite enough room to clear. So there's no way that's going to work. Okay, so out comes Mr. Speaker again. I'm kind of annoyed that I trimmed this back, so I'm going to have to now that I cut that thing back, but then again, I needed to do that either way. I think there's no way this would have worked if that was in place. Let us try rotating the speaker around 180 degrees and seating it this way. Ooh, I just pinched my wire over here. That sucks. Wish I would have been a little bit more careful. I may have damaged this wire beyond repair now. So it looks like I'm going to be doing some work on this again. Fun. Yeah, it's not going to work. There's just not enough clearance here. All right, back to the drawing board. So, you know that old saying, the obvious solution is the best? Well, turns out it's right again. I put yet another one of these box style speakers, this one, the 1240 box style, which is what I got here, installed it in the cab, and when I went down like this, it actually fits. Let me just quickly demonstrate this for you. There we go. See, it goes down perfectly. Wires are still hanging out the side, but that's the busted speaker, so I don't care about that. So anyway, that does work. And again, using the mock-up speaker so I don't damage anything. So the next step is going to be now to obviously install a decoder, because I have now ripped the other stock board out, as I'm going to have to now modify that to make it fit correctly. Oh well, onwards and upwards. Okay, I think it's about time I give a detailed update on how this project came out, since I didn't film it. I was actually on a roll, so I didn't want to stop. It's a rainy weekend day, and things really came out nicely after I figured out some things. To start with, I again went with the speaker mounted on the top. I put a brand new one in there. This is again that box style speaker thing that I'm always talking about. You can see the listing on the top there. Fit right in there. As you see, the actual baffle, the actual speaker head is right where the cab is, right over here. If you take a look, try to get that in there for you without damaging my cab. If you look there, the actual speaker head is coming right into the cab, so it has a good area to generate vibration and bass. A little bit different from how I usually do this. And as we see here, I've installed the Loksound Select Direct decoder with that. I've put a small set of extension wires onto that speaker to make it reach. I could have probably tried to mount it here, but it was kind of tricky to fit it, and I figured it's just easier to do it up there. Anyway, did that. I went ahead and installed the original LED in this direction, but here I had to go with an Atlas LED that I had laying around, simply because the standard LED has got very short wires. The original board extends all the way across. Now, I should mention, on the original board, I did manage to clean this up pretty nicely. right over here. As you can see, I actually successfully unsoldered all those connections, which is what I should have done at first, which I didn't do because I wasn't thinking. But by the time I took this out, I realized it'd be so much trouble to get this back in that it really wasn't worth bothering with. So I was better off just basically starting fresh with the Loksound, which is why I chose that. Anyway, I then wired everything up and turned it on. Of course, the lights didn't work, and that kind of sucked. So I went in, soldered it, and figured that'd be it. Put the shell on, got it to fit perfectly, and went off to sort of resign myself to having another engine with no headlights on it. Then I did a little research on the forums, and I figured out what was going on here. As it turns out, the LEDs have to be wired a specific way, and I took a guess, and sure enough, I had somehow managed to wire both of these LEDs backwards. I don't know how I managed that, but I did. And I had to unbridge my connections. Luckily, I realized my mistake and quickly unbridged these. I just barely managed to get it done. It was very tricky to unbridge them, but I did successfully do that, and I reversed the wires and successfully rewired them. And that was great. I turned it on, sure enough, tried to test it again, and both lights worked. Unfortunately, there was another problem. I had installed the motor drive backwards, or I'd installed the decoder backwards. Whatever the case, when you go forward, the back headlight came on. You went backward, the forward headlight came on. So, to fix this, very simply, what I did is I went in here and switched the motor drive wires around. Just put the one on one and one on the other. I didn't cross them, I just swapped them around so that one is on one side and one is on the other side. And that fixed that. So with all that, I now have this project completed. And I have dual directional lighting, and the engine really runs great. It's a very smooth runner. This drivetrain that Walthers came out with, I have to tell you, is just so much smoother compared to what the old lifelike drive system was from back in the day when lifelike had this division. Anyway, so that's going to do it for this project. The next thing I have to do is put the couplers on, which I have stowed over here in this box. Just going to go ahead and throw them on, and this will be all set. I want just to show you, it does fit perfectly. Like that. Got the wires in. Again, I went with a tethered wire assembly because I couldn't really find anything to put it on. I just got the wires in here. Hold on one second. Okay. It's a bit of a pain to initially get on, but once you get all the wires lined up, you can just press it down. Let me just make sure I'm not trapping anything. No, not quite. Yeah, there we go. One second, folks. Oh, yeah, this is always the tricky part when you're doing it on camera. It always works fine when you're off camera, but when you try to do it on camera, oh, brother, are you asking for trouble? There we go. That's perfect. Okay, yep. See, fits perfectly. No gaps, no nothing. But let me actually show you it running since I have this here. I haven't programmed the sound on this yet. I usually wait until I have a few engines ready, and then I put them on my programmer. And since I haven't done many locomotives lately, this has been kind of slow to happen. You won't be able to see the headlight very well, but I'll just have to take my word for it that they do actually work. Let's go ahead and get the power on for this thing. It's got the default Loksound sound in there. But let me turn the lights off and see if you can at least see the glare when I put this on there. Okay. See, headlights working. Oh yeah, it's kind of hard to tell, but you can tell. But both headlights are working. I'll just have to take my word for it. Runs extremely smoothly. It really is it's a good runner, and I'm looking forward to start running this on my layout. So basically, that'll do it for this project, and now I've learned something yet again. So it was certainly not a wasted day on this one. I'll talk to you folks later.